Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Rocket Fuel podcast. My name is Michael. This is Drew. How are you this morning, Drew?
Hey, Michael, I'm doing great. Man, we've had a couple months off here, taking our summer break. As a matter of fact, our last episode was all about taking a break.
Yes, it was.
So I'm really excited to get into season 3 here of Marketing Rocket Fuel. It's going to be a really awesome season.
Yes. It's been quite a stretch for myself. I was in Chicago for the National Card Show. And then this past weekend, I was on a golf trip. So it's nice to be back in the home studio, trying to get back into some sort of a routine just in time for school to start. Drew, you mentioned in the pregame, school starts for your daughter this morning. My kids have a little over a week to sleep in.
Yeah, by the time this episode airs, all our kids will be back in school and kind of settling into the normalcy, I think, of the fall. I don't know. Nothing in my life is ever normal. Everything's always new, and so it's always exciting. As a matter of fact, we even have a new sponsor, and we'll tell you a little bit about that later on. But
that's
just going to tease it a little bit, and if you're clever, you might even see who it is before we even get to it. But we won't say any more about that until later on.
That's what you call a professional teaser there. But let's get into Drew. You mentioned it's a brand new season. We've covered a lot in season 1 and 2. Tell the listeners here, or if you're watching, what the purpose of season 3 is going to be.
Well, in season 1, we talked a lot about hidden costs of various things for small business marketing. And then in season 2, we really went into who are the people on your marketing team, identifying what are these roles and why are they important. And this season, we're going to focus on businesses that are I call them the Main Street businesses of America. These are your storefronts, your restaurants, your flower shops, your businesses generally with under 10 employees. They're a lot of times they're sub-$1 million businesses. And they're the ones that we're finding need the most help with their marketing, particularly with social media. I get so many questions about social media all the time, every place I go. And so this season, we're going to focus, laser precision focus, on some of the pain points that small businesses have with social media. And we're going to address those head on and tell you how you can solve some of those pain points and really excel with your small business social media and without it eating up all of your time and budget. That's the key thing right there. And so today we're going to kind of give an overview of that and what are some of the problems that businesses are facing with social media and how can we solve those?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real thing. It's so real that marketing agencies have a hard time doing their own social media. That's how difficult this is. You would think that every marketing company would have this whooped, but they don't. That's how difficult it is. So, when I had my agency, the struggle that I saw small businesses have, it was they were too close to the chalkboard. I've said this before. It's like reading a label for a bottle from the inside of a bottle. It's very difficult. So we're gonna get these challenges, put them out there, wrestle them to the ground, and see if we could offer some value here. So I do want to start with social media. It's where it stands today. Sort of a quick overview of the quick evolution of social media.
And it keeps evolving faster and faster.
It is. It's very quick.
It's been a crazy summer on social.
And why it remains important. I can remember, Drew. It was like 2006, 2007. Facebook was just coming out of the ground. The iPhone had just launched. Um, the iPad was on its heels, and I literally had people in my company. I was working in real estate at the time, say, "Oh, this is a flash in the pan. It's not. It's going. This is going to go away." And especially in real estate, the whole thing was this is going away. Flyers and postcards and direct mail will still be king. No one's going to use this. It's just for kids. That was in
That was
2006.
we were still doing Yellow Pages ads
Yes.
back then.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's your take on where social media is today and where it fits into the marketing mix for small businesses?
Well, social media has become an ingrained part of life, not just in America, but around the world. I mean, everybody is on social media. I mean, almost the entire planet. If you've got a phone, you're on social media. It's just kind of a default thing. There's very, very, very few people who are not on some form of social media. Um, but in America, I mean, the average person spends hours a day on social media, mostly
Scary.
on their phones. And I do this myself. I'm constantly checking my Instagram. I'm constantly checking TikTok. I'm constantly checking. Um, um, I I still check Facebook on a regular basis. I check X. That's a new thing. Trying to get out checking X instead of watching for Twitter. Um, and and I check. I get messages on LinkedIn all the time. So, but I run a marketing agency, and so you would think, oh well, he has to do that because he's on marketing. But the average American is spending almost 2 hours a day on social media, and they don't even realize it because it's minutes at a time, and so it's not spending like 3 hours straight or 2 hours straight on it. It's okay. I've got 5 minutes here, and then I go away for a little bit, and then I check it again later, but it's become a massive part of our lives, and it's extremely important for small business because you need to go where people are, and that's where people are.
Yeah. So for me, it's always been um, striking the balance, right? We're going to jump into um, the complexity of social media. You've mentioned how much time it actually takes up on the consumer side. We haven't even
Right.
mentioned the business side.
Oh
And
yeah.
then just the struggles of what to put out there. But as far as what it means for, excuse me, what it means for a business, to me, at this point, in 2023, let me timestamp this episode. In 2023, the late summer 2023, for me, what it still means and what I think it will continue to mean is one, that your business gets its customers. That's one flex that your social media presence can have or can
Mhm.
display is you get the customer, and two, you're a legitimate business. It
Right.
offers credibility and it offers empathy. And if you do those at some level, even if it's slightly mediocre, it doesn't have to be Mr. Beast. It doesn't have to be Alex Hermosi. It doesn't have to be these influencers that you see all over social media that pump out, 10, 12, 20 shorts a day. It just
Right.
has to be serviceable to where you have credibility and you have empathy for your audience. So that's where I think social media stands. Let's move on to the struggles that small businesses still have after almost 20 years of social media coming up out of the ground. We are, and I include myself in that, small business. We are still struggling with these three things: the complexity of social media, how much time it takes to battle that complexity, and the third is what in the world are we going to put out there for the world to see? Drew, how are we going to deal with these three struggles?
Well, you mentioned when Facebook first came out and Twitter came out, they came out really close to each other. And basically, I mean, it was just, little text bits. They called it microblogging, because they were trying to make them fit within, the the confines of what you could text back then,
Yeah.
because you had very very strict limits on your data. Um, and so, and they didn't even have really a business function at that point, because they were just for personal use. Um, Fast forward to today, I mean, just this summer, we have seen massive shakeups in the social media world. But you have so many different platforms now. You have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have Threads, you have Facebook, you have uh, the artist formerly known as Twitter. You have LinkedIn, and there are some other smaller social media that are rising up that may become a thing here in the next year or so. So you kind of watch that, and you have to think about, okay, what's the flash in the pan? What is actually going to turn into something? And and then you have to think about, okay, well, how can I actually use this in a business sense? Do I just want to put ads for my business on there, or what kind of content do I want to put on there? And if you think about it, I mean, you watch that 15 to 30-second TikTok video. How long did they take to put that video together? And I can tell you, we've been doing some new TikTok videos for our new channel, Rocket Fuel Social, and those are just videos of me addressing a specific topic that concerns small business with social media, and and it takes time to shoot those videos. It also takes time to make sure that you've got your facts straight, to research the information in those videos. It takes time to edit those videos. You got to color correct them a little bit. I mean, I could just leave them as is, but really, I think you'd rather see me with vibrant colors than washed out and pasty white with this sun glare on my head. Um, and then you have to script the caption that goes along with it, and then you have to add the captions that appear on the video. I mean, that's a lot of work that goes together. For a 30-second TikTok video, it can take 30 minutes to an hour to create that one video. And then if you're doing those almost every day, think about how much that adds up during the week. That's a lot of time when you're trying to run a small business. If you're not running a marketing agency, even if you are running a marketing agency, I mean, I still have to spend time running my company. And I have people here that do a lot of the social media work for us, but there are certain things that I still do myself, even as the CEO, because I want to make sure that I'm not losing I keep my finger on the pulse of what social media is doing, because I don't want a whole team of people that know what they're doing and I don't have a clue. I don't want to be a clueless CEO in my company.
Right.
But but if I'm running a bakery, or if I'm running a restaurant or something like that, I've got to be able to manage my people. I've got to be able to figure out all of these things, and I that eats up a lot of time. And then you got to think about all of that, planning the content. It's what's going to resonate with an audience. What are people actually going to tune into? What's going to get followers? How do I get followers? How often should I post? When should I post? Is there a best time of the day to post? Should I post videos or should I post images? Should I post specials going on? What should I post? It's extremely confusing. I keep bumping my desk here. It's going to look like I'm in an earthquake. Um, it can be extremely confusing, especially if your expertise is not social media. If your expertise is literally anything but social media, even if your expertise is advertising, it can be extremely confusing to know what to do when and what platforms to publish on.
Yeah, fantastic. There's a lot of value in what you
There's a
just
lot,
said.
I know.
You know, rewind that if you can. Rewind. I sound like a child of the '80s. And unpack that. But I
I
do
just
want
pictured taking the cassette tape
with the
with the
pen,
pencil.
absolutely. But I do want to touch on something, especially when it comes to what you want to put out there. This is when, and this is tangential to the social media conversation, but this is when knowing what your brand is really helps, because that will help
Mhm.
guide you on what sort
Absolutely.
of content you're going to put out there. If your brand is sort of edgy and controversial and provocative, then certainly your social media needs to mirror that. But if your brand is pretty buttoned up, then being provocative may be fun, but it may go completely against your brand,
Right.
and then create confusion for your audience. So you need, those things need to line up. I would err on taking a chance and being counterintuitive on your brand, like really toe the line there. Toe the line probably on the, not the provocative side, but maybe the humor side.
Mhm.
If you can get your audience to giggle, and then associate that little giggle, that moment of levity and moment of that smile, if you can get them to associate that with your brand, win. That's a complete
Well,
win.
and on that note, I mean, the trick is getting your audience to laugh with you,
Yes.
not at you.
Right.
And also to make sure that your audience knows that you understand them,
Yes.
that you get what they're going through, whatever their pain point is, that you understand them, and making sure that that humor is, especially today, it's really important that your humor is inclusive and doesn't put down any particular people group. It doesn't make people feel bad about themselves. You want to make sure that you're a builder, not a tearer down. There are some people on social. There's plenty of people on social media right now that are tearing things down, that are angry, and some of those things resonate. But with me personally, I mean, I want to contribute to a better social media experience for people, more uplifting and positive social media experience for people, and I think that just it's something that society needs as a whole. But I don't want to get into the politics of it right now. Maybe that'll be another episode. Um, but one of the other things that small businesses need to consider is the cost. We do have an episode from season one, the cost of social media, but I think that it's probably even evolved from there. But it can actually become quite expensive to do social media, even DIY. But if you're hiring even a single freelancer, it can be really expensive to do social media. I mean, they'll a single freelancer, they'll make between $15 and $120 an hour. That's a big range. Um, and that can be, it can get upwards of $13,000 a year. 14. I'm looking at averages from some stats from a couple of years ago, and that can be very expensive just to hire a single freelancer, and you're usually getting somebody who's just a solo young person that's just starting out, and you've got the trick of, do they understand your business? Do they understand how to do business on social media? Um, and then, but if you want to go up from there, hiring a full service marketing agency, even if you were hiring, uh, even Escape Plan Marketing, which I'm not going to throw my own agency under the bus here, but you know agencies of that size are really geared towards larger businesses. And so if you're going to hire them, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars a month. And they're generally going to sign you on for a year contract or more. I mean, you're going to have an annual contract with them, and that can be really expensive for a storefront business who's generally under 10 employees. If you're $100,000 business, that's a lot of money to come out. But those businesses are the ones who really need it the most. And so, we got to think about, your costs on that. Am I going to do it myself and eat up my time, or am I going to pay somebody else to do it and eat up my money? Or is there a better way? And so, that's something that it's a dilemma that I run into quite a bit with businesses. And we do have a solution here later in this episode, but we want to try to get these pain points out there to address them real quick.
Yeah. And I've mentioned this before in the podcast, the difference between cost and price. There is a price, excuse me. There is a price to get this done. And whether it is your time or somebody else's time, there's a price to do that. The cost of not doing it is anonymity,
right,
or invisibility. It's a really cool superpower, but it's an awful thing to have for your business, is to be invisible.
That's the last superpower you want as a small business.
Absolutely. And so, we're all fighting for attention. And the fallacy with social media is you feel like you're fighting for attention for your competition. Like HVAC, let's check an HVAC company.
Right.
The fallacy is that they're fighting for attention with other HVAC companies. No, you're not fighting for their attention. You're fighting for attention, and you're competing with Kim Kardashian. That's the society we live in. It's attention, right. attention. So whatever the cost of not having that attention is, you need to weigh that on the price that you're paying somebody or someone or an agency like like Drew's to do this for you. That's what's at stake.
Think about it. I mean, you're sitting there going through your phone, swipe, 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 swipe. What's going to make you stop for just a second and pay attention?
Right.
That's your competition right there. Mm-hmm. That's what you're trying to deal with. You can't just think about the other guy down the street who does the same thing that you do. You got to think about what actually gets people to stop swiping for a second to see what you have.
Right. Well, Drew, we've talked about the struggles. We've talked about the dilemma of cost and what it's actually going to cost you and the price that will be. Let's talk about solutions here. No more gloom and doom.
Yeah, because this has been pretty bleak up to this point. We need to really lighten the air here. So
absolutely, let's brighten things up. What's the solution, Drew? If I'm a small business owner and you just hit me with the struggles that I clearly am, I'm having issues with. Not only have you hit me with these struggles, you've also told me that there's a price tag associated with overcoming these struggles. Give me some solutions.
Okay, so this is something that I have wrestled with for the past couple of years. Every time I go to a networking event or any place where there are small businesses, people have been asking me about this. And so we have spent the past 6 or 7 months creating a new type of agency. And we call it Rocket Fuel Social. And Rocket Fuel Social is specifically designed to be an affordable, all-inclusive solution for small business social media. And we said, what are the things that storefront businesses, Main Street businesses of America, hate about working with agencies? Let's not do those things. And so we said, Okay, they can't afford thousands of dollars a month. Okay, so our plans start at $149 a month. That's a price that a small business, a storefront business, can afford. They said, we hate having to sign our life away. We don't want to sell our soul for a year or more to get somebody to do social media for us. So we made no contracts. Everything that we do is month to month. Cancel anytime you want. Start it up, stop it. Start it up, stop it if you want. We're here to make content for you, and we're going to create that content. It's going to be affordable. They said, I don't want stuff that's made by robots. I don't want something that's generic. And so we gathered an army of people who are experts in what they do. And you have dedicated people who know about your specific business, not even just your industry, your specific business. You answer questions about your business, and they send you content every month or every week, actually, to approve. They make it by hand. They create the graphics. They write the posts, and they post it to the platforms. They said, I don't want to spend hours trying to deal with these people. And so we have taken it so that instead of spending 10 hours a week trying to create social media content, you're going to spend 5 minutes a week reviewing your content. You say, okay, I like this, approve. I want this changed. And we change it. And then you say, I like this, approve. And that's it. It saves you tons and tons and tons of time. And so we combined all of those things to create Rocket Fuel Social. They said, I want flexibility in how often I post. I may only need 3 posts a week on a couple of channels. Okay, so we've got a plan that starts for that. I may need 10 posts a week and I want it all over the place. We've got plans for that. They say, I need some videos online. We've got video plans. They say, I need some help with my blogging even. We've got blogging plans on that. But it's all social media. And if you haven't figured out right by now, Rocket Fuel Social is now the sponsor of the Marketing Rocket Fuel podcast. You see on my t-shirt here, Rocket Fuel Social. And before you go saying, oh man, I've been listening here for a half an hour and they're tricking me into a sales pitch. No, that's not really what this is about. We are not going to be advertising to you all the time on this podcast. That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about giving you solutions. And yes, you can go and DIY this stuff yourself. But we're also going to be honest with you. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money to do it. And if you need some help with that, check out rocketfuelsocial.com. And we're here. And I'm also going to give you the opportunity to try it for free. So if you go to rocketfuelsocial.com and at checkout, you enter in the launch code, free month. That's your launch code, free month. You enter that in at checkout, you're going to get a month free of any of our social media management plans. We have 4 social media management plans, $149 up to $9.99 a month. And so you can choose whichever plan works for you, and you'll get a month free on any of those plans. So you can try it out. And we have a 14-day money-back guarantee on any of our plans anyway, even if you didn't use the launch code. So if you try it out and you say, you know what, I don't like this, this is not for me, no problem. We'll say, it's been nice meeting you. Come back sometime in the future. So there's literally no risk to you. So if you go to rocketfuelsocial.com, we have started this just for you, just for the people who are listening to this podcast, for the people that we meet in these networking events, for Main Street businesses anywhere in America. That's who Rocket Fuel Social is for. All right, so enough of that. We'll post all of that information in the description so that you'll have a link and you'll have that launch code there. Again, that launch code is free month, and that is just exclusively for Marketing Rocket Fuel podcast listeners. So only you guys get that code. Don't share it. No, by all means, share it every place you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you will notice one of the things that I'm going to be transparent about is we are eating our own dog food when it comes to social media. So we started up brand new social media channels for Rocket Fuel Social, and so you'll be like, oh. If you're listening to this like right when we put it out, you're going to say, "Oh, well, you don't have millions of followers on your social media." Well, that's because they're all brand new channels. They have all started in August of 2023. And so we're building our own channels from scratch, just like we build for you as a small business. And so you can see the type of content, the quality of content that we make on our own channels is exactly what we make for you guys. And so you can kind of see there, and we do have examples, of course, of the types of content we've made for other clients already. So that's our new sponsor here, season 3 of Marketing Rocket Fuel is Rocket Fuel Social. And all right, so Michael, let's get into some more useful information here that people can do with their own social media. Let's talk about.
Well, thank you, Drew. Excited about Rocket Fuel Social. Check those out. Use that promo code that Drew dropped, and we're going to have those in the show notes below. But we do want to mobilize you guys. We do want you guys to take an action. And this is what we're suggesting. We're going to start with an audit, a social media audit. Because if you don't know where you're at, it doesn't matter if you have the map. So we want you to figure out the "you are here" spot on the map. Before diving in and outsourcing, we want you to find out where you stand with your social media. Drew, what does that look like on the most basic level for a small business?
Well, I mean, some of the things you want to look for on your social media channels, the number one thing is consistency. Are you consistently posting quality content? Um, do you? I see this trend a lot with small businesses. They're like, oh, I've got to do social media, and they post like 3 posts in a day. And then, they'll go on for maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 days doing something like that where they're very excited about it. But then life gets really busy. And then you go a few days without a post. And then you go a week without a post. And then you go a month or 2 without a post. And it turns into a desolate wasteland. Um, and so watch your social media for consistency. Are you consistently posting content? And then second, is your content something that somebody besides your mom is going to want to tune in for? Um, is it content that serves you as the business owner, or is it content that serves the people who are coming to you? If you're a restaurant, for example, I'll throw this one out here. Are you posting things like your weekly specials on your social media channel? Are you posting things like if you've got live music? Are you posting things like um, community goings on? Are you posting some behind the scenes stuff of your employees? Are you posting things that surprise and delight people as your audience? So think about what's going to make somebody want to click that like and follow button. What's going to make somebody want to continue to tune in to what you're doing? And it can't all be advertisements for your product or service. If it's all advertisements for your product or service, then people are going to tire of that very, very quickly and unfollow you if they ever follow you at all. You've got to put content out there that people actually will enjoy, something that's going to say, I'm different. So those are really the 2 key things I would look for in an audit. Is check out, are you consistent, and is it quality? And then I guess a lot of people are worried about like how many followers you've got, but that's going to really vary based on the type of business that you have. If you've got 100 followers, but there are 100 dedicated followers and you're successfully converting them into customers, that's great. If you've got 8,000 followers and nobody's buying, you've got a problem. So, don't get hung up on that follower count, because that'll grow over time. But really look for that consistency and the quality of your content.
Yeah, and just to put a cherry on top of that, light is the best disinfectant. Sunlight is. A lot of the issues that small businesses will have is this whole social media thing is sort of tucked away in a dark corner where it's just a thing. Oh yeah, that's our Instagram page over there. And so drag this thing out into the light, really, really take a hard look at it. Fight the urge to be everywhere all at one time. Fight that urge.
Right.
And
yeah, that's a great sci-fi movie, everything everywhere all at once. But it doesn't really work if you're trying to do social media. Well, it can if you need to be everywhere.
But it's going to be...
You don't necessarily... You need to be where your audience is. And that's different for every type of business.
But my point in dragging this thing out into the light, when you're doing an audit, you should feel sort of bad about yourself. I mean, you're going to feel icky. You're going to want to expose sort of the soft spots here, the things that need to be addressed. Because if you don't, then they're just going to sit there and continue to rot. And so let's have a very critical eye on your social media, to the point where you're going to want to take action, to the point where you're going to want to pick up the phone or drop an email or a DM to Drew and his team, to where something's going to change. So let's get on that, folks. So let's close things up. Drew, let's blah, I am all over the place this morning. All right. So
yeah, we've had too long of a break, haven't we?
Rusty. All right, Drew, thank you for being here this morning. Thank you. If you've made it this far in the episode, whether you're listening or you're watching, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, leave a review. Let us know if you like what we're doing. Drew, what do you have in closing for us?
Well, so I'll tell you about the next episode here in a minute, but I do want to mention, hey, we do have all kinds of new social media channels. So just look up Rocket Fuel Social on whatever social media you prefer, or all of them. And we would appreciate it if you find our content valuable. Go ahead and like and follow that content. Comment on it. Ask us questions. If you've got questions about social media, I want to answer those questions for you. So engage with us on social media. That's what we're here for. Engage with us in this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Or if you're listening on a podcast, leave us a 5-star, whatever it is on your particular podcast platform. And then next episode, we're going to be talking about this ever-changing landscape of social media. I mean, my goodness, just this summer, we've seen some massive shifts in social media with the launch of Threads and the rebranding of Twitter, and what does all that mean for your small business